Hey, what's happening? Look what I got. A Fender Super Sonic 22. This is a great amp, all tube amp. It's got two channels, burn channel for distortion sounds, and a clean channel, which is basically a deluxe reverb. So it sounds great. Very similar housing to a deluxe reverb, 1x12. But one thing that's really cool about this amp, besides being all tube and sounding just like a deluxe, is it's got an effects loop. And that means that we can take our Tonemaster Pro and use whatever preset we want, whatever amp model we want, and power it with the all tube power section of this tube Super Sonic 22. And using a tube power amp with a guitar cabinet and a guitar speaker will give you a great punchy tube sound. It'll complement the Tonemaster Pro very well. So I've got a cool experiment I'm going to do, and what that experiment is I'm going to run the Tonemaster Pro through the effects return and into the tube power section of this Super Sonic 22, and then I have been A-Bing trying to figure out where to set the preamp knobs on my Tonemaster non-tube Twin to where it most closely resembles what the tube version sounds like. And some of the results were surprising. I was definitely in the past over-coloring the sound, so I'll share those settings with you later. But going right into it, let's take a listen to it. Just so you know, when you plug a signal straight into the effects return on the Supersonic 22, it's going to give you the full power of that power amp, which is loud. So what you need to do is bring your input signal down a little bit. So what I did is I've got the same signal coming out of the Tonemaster Pro in mono, so one's going straight into the front of the Tonemaster Twin, and one's going into the effects return of the Supersonic. But before it hits the effects return of the Supersonic, I have a little JHS black box, which is just a volume potentiometer, and it allows me to turn it down a little bit so that this thing isn't cranking full volume. And I've dialed them in to be the same volume so we can compare them. But just so you know, there is a JHS black box on there, which, by the way, is a great way to attenuate a tube amp that has an effects loop on it. Works pretty good. Maybe not the same thing as a speaker load and all that, but sounds good to me. I mean, it sounds to me just like it just brings the volume down. Anyway, got my Epiphone Les Paul Studio in walnut, and let's hit it. Okay. I've got a simple preset on the Tonemaster with a Vox model, and that's what we're running into the tube power amp right now. So starting with the Supersonic. Now the Fender Tonemaster Twin. Okay. They sound pretty close in the room. I don't know if the phone's maybe making it sound real far apart, but they sound close enough for rock and roll. I got this real close. Of course, it's never going to be exactly like a tube power amp, because tube power amps or tubes will give you this natural tube compression. So you'll kind of get this hit you in the gut kind of thump when you hit your low strings. You know, when you do this, you get some of this, like you kind of feel it. And there's other ways, and then the highs also will have a nice rounded offness to them, and part of that can be from the speaker, but you know, it won't be as ice picky as solid state sometimes can get. So it has a nice bringing up the low end and rounding off the top end. That's kind of typical of tube compression. I have a couple methods of how I mimic that when using my Tonemaster Twin. I'll put that in another video, but right now I'm just trying to figure out where to set the knobs so that I'm not, because I'm running through the preamp of the Twin and I'm going straight in, I'm skipping the preamp on the Super Sonic. I want to get them tonally pretty close. So I will share with you those settings. They surprised me a little bit, but let's take a look. Okay, here's how I have it set. Going right into the number 1 on the vibrato channel. I always have the bright switch off because I just find with these solid state amps and using modelers, it works best with it off. The volume can be whatever you want. I've got it on the lowest attenuation setting on the back, and just to match the Super Sonic the way I have it at 4. But here's where it gets interesting. Treble at 3, middle at 9, bass at 3. These things were all off, but you can set them however you want. But these 3 here kind of surprised me. I had been in the past having my treble way up like this, and it was too much treble. And the middle needs to be up quite a bit. I imagine it's because these amps have a mid scoop, and when you're going straight into the power amp on the Super Sonic, you're not coloring it through any preamp, it's just amplifying. And so I'm imagining that maybe this was pushing some more mid than this mid scooped preamp did, so you have to compensate. But I just did this all by ear, and that's where I found it should be to my ear. And bass about the same as the treble. So there's your magic numbers when you're plugging straight into the front from your Tonemaster Pro. And my Tonemaster Pro is just set up to where, depending on how your preamps are set up, right now I'm on 75% on this master out, and that's putting me at about peaks, at about the peaks were right about there, negative 15 decibels. That's kind of where you want to be. So there you go, give that a try. And in a future video I'll show you some other little things that I'll add into the preset to help mimic the natural tube compression that you get from this baby here. These are nice amps, very versatile, not cheap but versatile. Anyway, catch you guys on the flip side later.